Have you ever looked up at the night sky and thought, the moon's nice and all, but you know what would really tie the sky together? Giant space rings. Like Saturn's, but here, around Earth. Well, today we're going full cosmic interior decorator to ask, what if Earth had Saturn's rings? First off, let's assume that by some miracle, perhaps a divine bowling accident, Earth ends up with a set of rings similar in size and shape to Saturn's. We're talking massive, icy, glittering rings, stretching tens of thousands of kilometers around the planet, made of trillions of particles, ranging from house-sized ice boulders to snowflake sprinkles. Not only would this completely change the way our planet looks, but it would also totally wreck how we live. Let's start with the obvious, the view. If you live near the equator, congratulations, you wouldn't see much. From the ground, Saturn-style rings would appear as a faint horizontal line stretching across the sky, like a celestial scratch on your window. But the closer you get to higher latitudes, say around 45 degrees north or south, the view becomes insane. People in Canada, Europe, Patagonia, and New Zealand would be treated to daily ring spectacles. Golden arches shimmering across the heavens at sunrise and sunset, rainbow refractions scattering across the clouds, and an Instagram filter that makes everything else in the solar system look like budget sci-fi. Tourism would explode. Everyone would suddenly want a vacation in Iceland, not for the northern lights, but for the ring lights. Flat Earth conspiracy theorists would combust on sight. But not everything is rainbows and moonlight. There would be consequences, big ones. For starters, Earth's rings would block sunlight. Depending on their thickness and angle, the rings could cast massive shadows onto the planet's surface. Some areas would experience semi-permanent shade, like living under a slow-motion eclipse. Entire regions could be plunged into twilight for months, drastically affecting temperatures, crops, and everyone's vitamin D levels. You'd need sunglasses and grow lights just to survive in some places. On the bright side, literally, other areas would get extra light from sunlight, reflecting off the rings. Imagine soft, sparkly daylight at midnight. Romantic? Yes. Confusing to animals and circadian rhythms? Also yes. Now, about satellites. All of our current satellites orbit within a relatively narrow band around Earth. Drop some massive space debris donuts in there, and suddenly every GPS, TV signal, and weather forecast gets obliterated. Elon Musk's Starlink? More like Starsync. The International Space Station? Hope you like dodging snowballs at 27,000 kilometers per hour. We'd have to either build a whole new satellite system outside the rings or figure out how to launch stuff through them, like threading a cosmic needle without punching holes in a trillion ice rocks. Space travel just got a whole lot frostier. But hey, maybe we could use the rings. Earth's rings would constantly be bombarded by solar wind and micrometeoroids, creating high-energy environments. In theory, we could harvest that energy. Solar panels mounted on satellites parked near the rings might generate enormous amounts of power. Finally, a reason to build a giant space extension cord. And let's not forget the cultural impact. Humans have been telling stories about the moon for millennia, writing poems about the stars, and using constellations to navigate. Add massive glittering sky rings to the mix, and every mythology, religion, and superstition gets an upgrade. You'd have sky-based fashion trends, astrology TikToks based on ring shadows, and ancient ring calendars so confusing they'd make Mayan math look like Sesame Street. The geopolitical world would shift too. Countries under the best ring viewing angles might declare their skies national ring parks and charge tourists to look up. Airlines would offer ring window seats at double the price. Somewhere, a billionaire would try to install LEDs on the rings just to write "buy Dogcoin" across the sky. Of course, there's the final elephant in the solar system: physics. Earth isn't Saturn. We don't have the same mass or magnetic field to naturally support stable rings. Realistically, any rings Earth did get wouldn't last more than a few million years. They'd either collapse into the atmosphere or clump together and form a brand new Moon 2. Ring Boogaloo. Also, did we mention the ring debris falling into the atmosphere? Yeah. Occasionally, chunks of ice or rock from the rings might spiral inward and burn up in the sky. A beautiful meteor shower for some, a sudden ceiling hole for others. In the end, giving Earth Saturn's rings would be spectacular, visually, scientifically, and existentially. It would transform life on Earth in ways both dazzling and disastrous. Stargazing would never be the same. Nighttime would become a show, and somewhere, in the background, 1,000 scientists would scream into their hands while poets weep with joy. So, should we give Earth rings? Well, maybe let's just Photoshop them in for now.